Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. So this is going to be an 8-part documentary series presented from Disney Plus, which is going to show the behind-the-scenes images of Mandalorian and how the production came into play, how different aspects are afforded into the scenes, if you will, afforded into the show. So the first episode came out and it focuses on the directors. So it focuses on David Filoni's journey, Taika Waititi, and the other associated directors. And it kind of showed how like they each have their own episode. Think of it as a mini movie. They talked about their story, how they got into it. We mentioned on a previous video and in previous topic that Dave Filoni worked for Avatar and actually got the job, and he thought it was a
Never
job.
knew that. Never knew that.
And that's somebody, I'm a big Avatar fan, and to put two to two together, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. This guy is of high caliber. I know his work, and I fell in love with his work. I even said the show he worked on, Avatar: The Last Airbender, was my favorite cartoon series of all time. Mm-hmm. To see these episodes are short, they're 30 minutes. It does feel like a full documentary per part, so definitely sit down and be prepared to have a whole lot of information dumped at you. It was just so cool to see how the directors in their chair, in their position, all look at the story from their own unique perspective, and to hear that coming directly from them, and the notes they would give the actors and the other people involved. And then, of course, constantly you hear the actors giving their perspective of what it's like to work with those directors. I value and appreciate The Mandalorian more now because of this. And I used to be someone who didn't watch the behind-the-scenes cuts, the director's things too often.
What? You weren't a bonus features fan?
No, when I was younger. No, never.
I love bonus features. You would get the DVD just for the bonus features.
Well, I would get it for the deleted scenes, not bonus features. That
you got it for the gag reel. Let's be like you just wanted the gag reel.
That too. That was great. But like this kind of stuff shows me the magic behind the movies, right? The movies are still magical to me, and to see these stuff in the green screen and how they have to turn and twist to get all this done to show all the care and effort that these people put into it makes you appreciate this more. As a work of art and something that they devoted their time to, and less as, it's just a show that I watch. Too often I binge through TV, I'm like, it's a great show, good story, and I don't think of the men and women behind it, and they did such a good job here. I'm looking forward to watch all of this, and I definitely feel like Disney as a whole, Lucasfilms and Marvel are going to adopt this more, this kind of the Disney Gallery, the behind the scenes, if you will, because more and more people are becoming more involved and more knowledgeable about the behind-the-scenes. They want to see that. Anytime you see a behind-the-scenes footage or a video or a clip or a picture of Avengers Endgame or anything like that, people go nuts because they want to see the magic, the secrets behind the magic. So when
they released that, sorry to cut you off, but when they released that Endgame scene where Tony's in the Soul Stone talking to his adult daughter right before he dies, like stuff like that, people go nuts for. Or
exactly.
The one I was telling you about a while ago, where it was the scene that never before seen in Return of the Jedi, where Luke is creating his green lightsaber, which I wept watching 2.5 minutes because I'm an ultimate Star Wars fan, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm watching original Star Wars for the first time. I've never this is new Star Wars that's original that I've never seen. So, stuff like that, you never know how big the impact is for certain fans.
So, my final thought before I hand it over to you to get your perspective on the first episode in the documentary series. We wanted to bring this up not only because it's Star Wars related for Star Wars May the 4th and Star Wars Month and all week Star Wars that we're doing. I wanted to bring this up especially because after watching this, I want Disney Galleries and this brand and this IP that they're doing, seeing behind the scenes, to keep growing. Because I'm selfish. I want to see more behind the scenes magic 100%. Of everything that we love. And I think if you are watching this content, you are probably in a similar mind space and that you're going to already check it out. Or if not, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of cool stuff. You get to see the magic behind it, and it's only going to make you a better fan. So, Chris, now that my rant's done, what did you think of it? How did you perceive and feel after watching it?
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought everything that was said and done was absolutely ingenious to people who are so good at their own craft. it's, everyone likes to see people doing great things, right? You don't want to sit there and watch people fail at stuff.
No, you don't.
The first thing I immediately thought was I was so glad they let Dave Filoni they just let him go and tell stories and talk. The first thing I thought of is, oh my God, if they don't make one for this, like, last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, I might riot. Like, I just want a Clone Wars one where it's just Filoni explaining every thought process, every nook and cranny about this last 4 episodes of Clone Wars. But as for what we have with Mandalorian, yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm kind of on like a documentary overload right now with this.
What do you mean?
Plus, I've been watching this. I've been watching The Last Dance religiously, which is it's ESPN's 10-part documentary about Michael Jordan and the '90s Bulls, which was like my childhood. Michael Jordan was like my hero as a kid. So I like every week 2 hour-long episodes come out. So we've been going nuts on that. Doing a lot of documentaries, catching up on like Netflix and stuff like that. But like, yeah, this as far as it was a nice clear cut visuals of what they did. I also liked seeing that clearly they had this plan while making the show.
Yes, you could definitely tell because they wanted to do this.
Yeah, like they obviously had footage of them making the show with the actors on set and the different props and the setup and the special effects. So clearly this was like, hey, we're going to do this documentary while the show's going on because we're going to have this in our back pocket.
Why not? It was smart.
Which I thought was really smart. So yeah, seeing some of the background stuff and Star Wars is almost as great as seeing the background stuff because there's so much of it.
And you forget what's practical effects and what's not. Like some of the stuff that I thought was effects, it was practical and vice versa. So it's definitely cool to see.
And also like answering some of the questions, right? Like I know they, basically did the entire show in a massive warehouse. How? You know what I mean? Right? There's so many landscapes, there's so many things. To see that like kind of revolving wall of space and night was
so smart.
Insane. To see the amount of detail everything had, like there were some things Bryce Dallas Howard was talking about in her episode with, the chicken walker and the Pocahontas lady. But like some of the intricate detailed stuff and not only that, how much all these people are fans. Like I could have honestly listened to Dave Filoni talk the whole time because he is basically George Lucas's apprentice at this point.
Yeah, and it was cool to see George Lucas on set. Right?
Yeah.
How cool was that to see him involved in that? Like, that's something I forgot that he was even a part of it. I thought
and you kind of like if you read articles or something about the shows or stuff, like they'll say, George Lucas was here to be a consultant and kind of bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, but what does
but
that
like
really
to see
mean?
him still in like kind of like the director's assistant chair and see him kind of still being like this. And Dave Filoni is like the Padawan or Jedi Knight of George Lucas.
Yep.
He has absorbed all George's knowledge, has absorbed all George's kind of ways. George has taught him so many things to kind of become George away from George that Filoni just knows it all. Like the stuff, Carla Gugino was asking about like, random questions about like her side armor. And Filoni's like, well, it's actually like basically like comic book guy from The Simpsons,
for
right?
Star
Like
Wars, though.
Filoni almost knows too much of it. That stuff was awesome. It was awesome to see. What's her name? What's her name? The director. Asian lady.
What
the hell's her name? Rick Fukuyama's the guy. Taika was there. Bryce Dallas Howard. It'll come to me. But her episodes were the best episodes of Mandalorian, which were the ones with all the kind
Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow, thank you.
I had to look it up. I'm so sorry. I feel so rude. We should have known
so do I.
that.
Glad you looked it up. But Deborah Chow's episodes to me were the best episodes of Mandalorian. They were the ones where he goes back and gets Baby Yoda and has, the Mandos come in and help and fight. And it was like the big attack one when they go back to the planet. She had the action stuff. And she's worked on Mr. Robot. She's done all this TV stuff. She's a big action star fan. So, like, to me, it was nice to see, like, kind of her mindset on some of, like, my personal favorite episodes of the show as well. And I'm sure you were like, oh, this was kind of like my favorite episode. It's cool to see behind of this as well. And you get to see everyone's point of view, especially Taika Waititi, who's like the big time director, right? Like he's like, oh yeah, I did Thor, and I'm doing a Star Wars movie.
Yes, that news just dropped that Taika's doing a Star Wars movie, so we're gonna find out more about that soon, and we'll let you know. But
I'm excited.
Speaking of Taika, like it was cool to see how he was doing his episodes, and how even the actors and Jon Favreau was talking to how like he would find the comedy in the action, not create comedy for the sake of comedy. Yeah. And they showed a little bit like, oh, baby, do the Force thing. You're like, that was a funny scene.
Do the hand thing.
Right, do the hand thing. Like he has the natural ability to find and carve out the funny where it can without hurting and negatively impacting the show. And like to see his background, like, oh, he used to have to go recycle things, go to the old Lord of the Rings sets to try to get different monster parts to make a monster for his movies. It shows the ingenuity and creativity behind these people. Yeah. Now, brings me to a question I want to ask for you. Ooh. After watching just this first one here, I know we have 7 more to go.
Yes.
But did you pick up on any hints for season 2?
Not in this first episode.
Okay.
Because it was so reflective.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, it was kind of like, here are the directors for season 1. This is what they're about. This is why they are the way they are. And it was kind of to see, like, which I thought was very smart too, in which if you watch the show, you can see kind of everyone's personality come out.
Yes.
Throughout some of the episodes, like Rick Fukuyama episode where it's like kind of like the Mandalorian on the ship where he's taking out everybody, and the Bill Burr episode.
Yeah, I know.
Like seeing some of his personality come out on each of these was cool. I didn't get too much on next season yet.
Yes. There's still some.
Who knows? Maybe left. Yeah, and maybe the final episode of this docuseries is kind of like has a mini preview of next season, or at the end has a trailer or a teaser for next season.
It could easily do it. Now, do you know when new episodes are coming out?
Yes, it's still scheduled for October, I believe. Mandalorian season 2.
No, I meant for the documentary series, not for Mandalorian.
Oh, the documentary series. Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to be every week.
That's what I was.
Like it was. My guess would be Friday because it would take the slot of what Clone Wars just did, which was once every Friday. So my guess would be every Friday. Obviously, today is a special day. May the 4th be with you, and tomorrow will be Revenge of the 5th. Lift up your hearts with them. So I think tomorrow's Revenge of the 5th. I don't think there'll be a new episode tomorrow, but I think it'll start kind of coming out on maybe like a Friday week-to-week basis.
That would be cool.
So yeah, I'm excited to continue watching this. I'm obviously going to keep watching it. I thought it was brilliant. I'm also excited to learn about possibly what Taika's doing as far as a movie.
I can't wait to see the next episode of this, whatever it is, when they talk about the visual effects and the practical effects, because they're going to focus on that hard. I think that's going to be such a cool thing. To me,
they had to invent something for this show, right? Like it's almost too massive a show, and the amount, like Taika said it, like when he was joking around, like oh, it's so unprofessional here, and like there's no money to do anything. Terrible. Yeah, like literally they spent upwards of 20 to 25 mil per episode. Wow, so that they have they're putting in the funds for this to have some of these crazy effects and some of these things that are almost like, hey, they're not even doing some of this stuff in movies yet. Which ILM and Lucasfilm is always notoriously known for kind of being ahead of the wheel on inventing new CGI and new graphics and new practicals too. So that'd be interesting. I'm really interested to see. I'm a story guy, as you know. Like I love story. I want kind of like the one person we didn't really see in this episode, besides kind of holding court, was Jon Favreau.
Yeah, he was very reserved in this, and I think that was intentional because they wanted to spotlight the directors, because those are the unsung heroes many times in film and TV, because you're like, oh, practical effects, they make the things look cool. Visual effects, that's fine. The actors, the writers, and like the directors kind of put the vision together. I feel like kind of get the short end of the stick. I mean, that might just be my perspective, but I feel like
it's just one episode. I think that's just why. But yeah, I'm really interested to see Favs and like kind of his thought process of like, how he invented Baby Yoda and why and the time period.
That story.
Mandalorian's kind of small backstory with the flashbacks, and obviously we know that Filoni clearly has a background in anime, which I learned, and you learned through Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
But also, we know which I mentioned far before when we started doing when we did the Mandalorian reviews. He loves Lone Wolf and Cub a lot, and a lot of that show is taken on Lone Wolf and Cub with the way that Mando is with Baby Yoda. So I'd love to see the behind the scenes, like Favreau and Filoni in the writers' room discussing ideas. Maybe Lucas there bouncing ideas and time periods and kind of setting stuff up. But I'm a story guy, so I want to know some of that, and I'd also love to see maybe them talk to Pedro Pascal about being in the mask forever and not really seeing his face. That to me would be cool.
That would be. Guys, that wraps up our brief discussion on Disney Gallery's The Mandalorian, the 8-part documentary series from Disney that focuses on one of our favorite bounty hunters. Be sure to check that out on Disney+. And that, guys, is the end of the podcast episode. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you are having a great May the 4th, Revenge of the 5th, New Hope 6th, or whatever numbers there are after that. I don't know.
Return of the 6th.
Return of the 6th. We really hope that you guys are going to have a fun Star Wars month. Definitely do a binge. As you might see behind me right now, there is Star Wars playing right now.
Is that episode 3? Oh my god, yes it is. All the Jedi are dying. No!
Order 66 is happening right
Order
behind
66
me.
Just happened.
Yes.
God, you monster! Why? Of course that would happen with you. At the end of the episode, he turns around and there's just death and carnage.
No, but
Kit Fisto died too fast. By the way,
he did.
But yes, do your binge. I'll be doing mine.
Ooh, the collector's edition.
I wish Rob still worked at Best Buy for this one. This is the 4K full Skywalker set.
That looks delicious.
I wish I still had Rob's discount from Best Buy back in the day, but
he never did, if they're looking, and it doesn't matter because I don't work there anymore. Anyway. Get your Star Wars binge on. Watch Clone Wars. Watch Rebels. Watch the 9 episodes. Read some of the books. Let us all know what you guys are doing for your Star Wars month. As you guys might have already figured out, I'm going to be doing a marathon after I hang up with you guys. As always, I'm Ron Moran.
And I'm Chris Heller.
And we'll see you next time.
CheersToComicCrew.podbean.com.